WSAV is your local election headquarters. All 8 Democratic candidates running for Georgia's 1st Congressional District met face-to-face with voters in Richmond Hill tonight, sharing their positions on some of the biggest issues facing the district ahead of the primary. WSAV's Isabella Baez was there.
All 8 Democratic candidates for Georgia's 1st Congressional District met with voters in Richmond Hill Thursday night, answering questions just weeks before the primary. Candidates outlined their top priorities, from campaign finance reform to health care.
Primary focus is overturning Citizens United by constitutional amendment.
Run for election is to change our healthcare system.
One economic issue, candidates sharing similar views on raising the minimum wage.
Help and work with small businesses to create tax credits and incentives so they can actually increase their pay.
On affordable housing, there were differences over the federal government's role.
I don't think the federal government should be involved in building housing. We need to bring that money back to developers.
I do believe the federal government has a role to play in this because of tariff. We need to get rid of the current tariffs.
Candidates also discuss how they would build broader support ahead of the general election.
Bottom line is, I've been reaching across the board anyway, and that's what you're going to have to do. You got to be willing.
Is a coordinated county by county grassroots canvassing effort to get out to those people.
To be transparent and to be accountable. And then we also got to consider that there are 14 congressmen that's in the state of Georgia and 2 senators.
The candidate mixer was hosted by Bryan County Indivisible, as well as WSAV News 3 on your side.
The Republican field for the 1st District is also crowded. Republican candidates include Patrick Farrell, James Kingston, Brian Montgomery, Krista Penn, Candace Taylor, and Eugene Yu. The winners of both primaries will move on to face off in the general election this November, along with a third-party candidate. We have everything you need to know about the upcoming elections online at wsav.com/electionhq. New developments tonight in a Long County shooting investigation where 2 men showed up at the hospital with gunshot wounds. Hinesville police say just after 5, 2 men arrived at Liberty Regional Medical Center after being dropped off at the emergency room. One man had been shot in the hand, the other in the leg. A Long County detective now confirms the shooting appears to have been accidental. Authorities also say 1 person has been arrested in connection with a stolen firearm tied to the investigation. A Savannah woman will spend years in federal prison after admitting to setting fire to a rooming house filled with people. 54-year-old Tamika Mumford was sentenced to 7 years behind bars for an October 2024 fire on Capitol Street that injured 4 people. Investigators say security video showed Mumford lighting a mattress outside an open kitchen window and then adding more material to the fire. Mumford will also serve 5 years of supervised release after serving prison time. Health officials across the U.S., including here in Georgia, are urgently monitoring passengers who return from the cruise ship at the center of a deadly hantavirus outbreak. The Georgia Department of Public Health says 2 Georgia residents who were on board the MV Hondius have returned home and are being monitored, though both are currently in good health and showing no symptoms. State health officials would not release where in Georgia the 2 passengers are located, telling WSAV that sharing that information could compromise their privacy. However, there are reports that at least one of the 2 is now back home in Brunswick. Georgia is one of at least 5 states, along with Arizona, California, Texas, and Virginia, tracking residents who were on the luxury ship. The World Health Organization says 3 people died, 5 confirmed cases, and 3 suspected infections are linked to the outbreak so far. And health experts say the virus involves the rare Andes strain of the hantavirus, which can spread through close person-to-person contact, though officials stress the risk to the general public remains low.
There are no FDA-approved treatments. Although there are some meds with some data that may work, like ribavirin, there's no FDA-approved treatments. And again, supportive care is very important, but it can be very lethal, and that's why there's cause for concern, and that's why the Department of Public Health is going to have to keep a very close eye on these individuals.
For now, health leaders emphasize this is a serious but contained situation and not the start of a broader problem. Glynn County police are asking for the public's help identifying a man they say is wanted in connection to a shooting at a local motel. Take a look at this man. The shooting happened April 16th around 3:30 in the morning at the Economy Inn in Glynn County. Investigators say the suspect opened fire into a crowd in the parking lot and then ran. Police are now asking anyone who recognizes him to come forward. An officer has urged the public not to approach the suspect, saying he may be armed. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Glynn County Police Department. New tonight, a former Savannah police officer was back in court today as a judge considers whether to delay a key hearing in his murder case. Former officer Ernest Ferguson is charged in the 2022 shooting death of Saudi Lee while on duty and has been behind bars for 2 years. The defense has renewed its request for bond, saying Ferguson has completed programs in jail, remained sober, and has been deemed low risk by an expert evaluation. Judge said he will decide soon whether to delay the hearing and whether to grant bond. A traffic stop in Metter has now turned into a much larger investigation after police say they discovered a drone capable of carrying contraband. Metter police say an officer first spotted an SUV going over 100 miles per hour on I-16. Authorities say the driver ran, reaching speeds of more than 130 before stopping. 25-year-old Jeffrey Burton of Savannah was taken into custody and faces multiple charges now, including fleeing, reckless driving, drug possession, and firearm offenses. During the arrest, officers say they discovered this, a large red-top drone inside the vehicle. Police say the drone was capable of traveling up to 15 miles, carrying up to 30 pounds, and was equipped with a hook system that could be used to transport and drop contraband. The Georgia Department of Corrections is now working with Metter Police as investigators look into possible connections to illegal operations across the state. Southeast Georgia has been hit hard by a series of wildfires, house fires, and brush fires over the past several weeks, leaving hundreds of homes destroyed and many residents now trying to figure out what comes next. WSAV's Jillian Coles is getting answers for those facing a fire tragedy.
Matt Hall with Beach Insurance Group says many fire victims in Southeast Georgia have damage that call for a total loss insurance claim. That's when the cost of the repairs are close or exceed the policy limits.
Those are the quickest payouts. So when you have home insurance, you have contents coverage, and then you also have loss of use, where they put you up in a hotel room while they're rebuilding your house.
Contents coverage is a reimbursement to cover the value of the items that were inside or used to care for the home, like lawn mowers. He says this also goes for any unattached properties, like garages.
If your house was insured at $300,000, usually you would get 10%, which is $30,000 for any kind of other structures, anything not attached by a wall or roof line.
And with those payments being set in your policy, situations with total loss don't need documentation of items inside. For those who aren't facing total damage, documentation is essential to help you replace those valuables.
If you're trying to get out ahead of stuff and remove debris and stuff like that yourself, I would make sure you're documenting all that, taking photos, because the insurance company wants to see what was destroyed.
He says plans may also cover smoke damage. And for those who haven't experienced a fire tragedy but want to protect themselves, Hall says you should start by getting a copy of your insurance policy and have your agent give you a rundown.
The best thing to do is just have the right insurance and then be prepared financially.
That was Jillian Coles reporting. Hall says once you receive your claim or your check, be careful of who you hire to help you rebuild. He says never hand that money over to someone until the rebuild project has begun. The South Carolina House will consider changes to the state's congressional districts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. A hearing is set in Columbia after a party line vote in the House yesterday moved the process forward, potentially leading to a special session to redraw the Palmetto State map. The proposal would allow lawmakers to return after the legislative session ends to consider changes to the map. The measure passed by an 87-27 vote, and that now moves to the South Carolina Senate. If approved, the change would amend the General Assembly's sine-die resolution, which currently limits what lawmakers can take up once the regular session adjourns. The renewed debate follows a recent ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court about maps in Louisiana. The court ruled racial gerrymandering is unconstitutional. South Carolina's 6th Congressional District, currently represented by Jim Clyburn, was originally shaped in the 90s as a majority black district under Voting Rights Act era guidance. State maps were last redrawn in 2021 and later upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in 24 after legal challenges. The Senate left today without taking up any redistricting issues. To take effect, any proposal still needs a 2/3 vote in both chambers of the General Assembly. We hit another big milestone today in the 2026 St. Jude Dream Home campaign.
Landmark 24 Homes and all their trade partners and supporters right here that are ready to cut the ribbon on this year's home. So let's do that in 3, 2, 1. Cut the
Landmark 24 Homes cut the ribbon on the project today, marking it officially complete. The home has been staged by a local furniture store, J. Patrick's and Pooler, So now it will open for tours this Saturday and Sunday. The home is in the Oakwood at New Hampstead neighborhood of Savannah. It is a grand prize worth $575,000. There's also a bonus prize up for grabs, a $5,000 Visa gift card, but you need to get your ticket by next Friday to be eligible. Just scan the QR code or call the number even at 11:10 at night. Someone will answer.